here's a practice, here's something that I want to introduce to you. And again, like I said last week, I wouldn't offer anything to you that I don't practice myself. I think Neville Goddard is one of the closest things that bridges the gap or bridges new thought in quantum physics. Because what we do is we create a possibility. And then we take that possibility and we move it to a future possibility, and holding that in the imagination and moving that into the subjective, we create a bridge from where we are to where we want to be. This is quantum physics. This is new thought at its best. This is a practical practice that any one of us can do. The first is passion. The second is practice, and the third is imagination. And let me talk about them a little bit further. The first is passion. You know, you can't just think about your good. You can't think about the thing that you desired. Oh, wouldn't that be nice if that happened? Or, oh, wouldn't that be lovely if that happened? No, what Neville says is that you must become passionate for it. Because I think sometimes in new thought, we fall back on thinking. We fall back on our head. You know, we forget that we are a living being that's not just alive from the neck up, but it's in our whole body. So we must become passionate. We must feel it. It has a charge to us. And that's a really interesting practice to engage in. What is the thing that I am passionate about? What is the thing that I desire? And what's the experience that I'm seeking? So that's the first thing. Be real clear about what that is. And I'm gonna give an example of how to work that in just a second. So we become passionate. And then the second thing is the practice itself. And you know, Neville was really clear about this. He used a word, I love this word, called hypnagogia. And what that is that's that twilight place between sleep and awake. It's that drowsy place of being. And what's important about this is our logical mind is really kind of relaxed and is not as engaged at this point in time. In fact, if you notice, I know for myself, years ago I used to work with emotionally disturbed children, and evening time was a really difficult time for them. Or people who are depressed. It's a really, that twilight time between waking and sleeping is a very, very challenging time, because what's happening is the logical mind is resting and it's no longer suppressing all the emotions and all the feelings and all the stuff that is coming up. And so, what happens at this point in time is it's not a good time to sort of work through logical ways of solving problems. Like, don't get up at like 5 a.m. before you're engaged or your logical mind is working and try to figure something out. That's not the time. But it's a powerful time, just like our dream state, for the imagination. And so the practice then is to allow ourselves to induce this drowsy place, this hypnagogic place, this twilight time. For Neville Goddard, he used to like to do it about 3 in the afternoon after a good lunch, sometimes a glass of wine, and either sit in a comfortable chair or lie down on the sofa. And that was his time to do it, but to move into this dreamy state. And then the third aspect of the practice is this, is what he would suggest doing is then we create a mental experience where we're engaged in the thing that we desire. And what he's not saying is we're not watching ourselves do this, we're engaged in this. So it's not so much that maybe I want to climb a mountain or row across a large lake. It's not like I see myself doing that. I engage in doing that. Do you see the difference? Because it's a visceral thing. I'm engaged in the thing that I'm desiring. And here, like I said a few moments ago, is a perfect example. And so there was a woman that came to Neville one time and she said, really what I want to do is I want to be married. And so what he said to her is, and she says, well, how do I do that? How do you create a mental picture of that? And he was really interesting because he said, here's the deal, is this is something that you want, get yourself in that hypnagogic state, and then see yourself, experiencing yourself twirling a wedding band. Feel it on your finger, look down and see it on your finger. Just massage that. Be present to the wedding band on your finger. Because what happens then is our subjective mind creates an image that it impresses upon us. And then we begin to organize ourselves consciously to move to that goal.